Okay. Hi everyone. Um, Sorry it's been a minute. Um, but I'm kind of back on my feet a little bit now. I got a new medicine from my doctor, and so um my days are getting a little bit better. And I think I'm at a point now where I really will be able to do a lecture every day. Again, I'm still not worried because these lectures, the like when I look at them on my computer, the last time I opened them up was late March, which means we were doing these in late March of last year. Um, and it's middle March. That's a book. Anyway, so the middle of March right now. So we're good. But now we're going to get going with these more frequently. Plus, my mom went back to Michigan. It was kind of hard to do them when she was here, but it was really, really nice having her. So here we go. You're going to get a message. Well, you got a message from me, or you should go look at your messages because one of you sent me a message and made some really, really good points about like how, and I'm sure a lot of you are struggling with this, that since since I'm not at school and you're not having these lectures at school, that like it can be hard to find the motivation to take the time to watch them, or to just like find the time, like, when you're in class and I'm giving a lecture, like you can't do something else, at least not easily, or without scorn from me. And so you're kind of forced into making sure you keep up with what we're doing. But with me not there and you sort of having this freedom, that can be really difficult. Like I know if I were in your position right now, I would be struggling so much to keep up with the lectures. And so either as a reminder of what I said in the message you got, or go look at that message and here's a recap. I still want you to have a little bit of freedom to either watch these in class or watch them at home. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say some secret words at random parts in the lectures. Each lecture might have one secret word, might have two, it might have three. And then at the end of the week, you'll have a little assignment on Schoology and it'll say like, the week of March 14th or whatever, secret words. And you have to like keep a sticky note or something. You're going to have all the secret words from that week. Again, I don't know how many they're going to be, but at like a random or multiple random points in the lecture, I'm going to be like, okay, time out, TO. Secret word is blah, 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 whatever. That wasn't the secret word. And then you're gonna have to write that down so that, by the end of the week, you have to have watched the lectures, and it'll be due on like a Sunday. So you could, if you had to like wait and watch a lecture or two on Saturday or Sunday earlier. But I'm hoping that will help, that like having some points attached to this will give you the incentive you need to make sure you're keeping up with everything. And I also want you guys to have a little bit of freedom in class. Like, I unfortunately can't do it so that you can play Plickers. Oh my God, I wouldn't, you know what? There was like remote Plickers because we had to do that last year. Okay, so we might set up a few days where during class, and all you need is your phone, we'll play Plickers. It won't be, it ends up being like Kahoot, okay? But like, I'm not gonna get Kahoot because I have all the questions in Plickers, but they made a remote version, so we can do that, and that'll be nice, and we can actually like interact with each other. We can even like have a Zoom on while we're doing that. Oh yeah, we're gonna do that. The other thing is I'm going to send you the tests. So they're not going to be tests because like you'll have them. I'm also going to send you last semester's tests so that you can look at them again. I want you to have like every advantage because I'm not there. And so I think having the test is a good idea. For the multiple choice portion, like I'll give you the test and then a couple days later, I'll just give you the answers. We can maybe hold like a live session with questions, or you can, I don't know, we'll see how that works. I also have to talk to the sub and see like, does she, I don't know, well, maybe like some of you will have to help her figure out hooking up the computer to the projector. And then we could do like a whole class Zoom instead of all of you being on your own Zoom. I don't know, we'll figure it out. And then for the FRQs, if you want me to grade them, you just like take a picture of it and send it to me and I can, it's not going to be for a grade, but I can, grade them, quote unquote. So that's some stuff. Yeah. Trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to say. Stupidly, I started this lecture without thinking about going to the bathroom beforehand, and I really have to pee. So I'm going to pause this before we actually get into anything, and I'll be back in a minute. So let me pause this. Okay, I'm back. So let's get started. Lecture 29. I guess maybe this lecture has all 3 of these. I kind of thought it was split up, but that's okay. We are doing Baroque art, and Baroque art is split up into 3 subcategories. There is Southern Baroque. It is also sometimes called Italian Baroque. There is aristocratic Baroque, and there is bourgeois Baroque. And so we will do all of those. And there we go. We will start with Southern or Italian Baroque. Now, to be clear, this is not Southern Italian. We're not like talking about Naples or something. It is like all of Italy / the South. It's kind of the same with with the Renaissance. We talk about like the Italian Renaissance, and sometimes people call that the Southern Renaissance. So let's start there. We are going to start today with some churches. I think it's only 2, and those are the only ones. We do have one building in aristocratic Baroque, but anyway, we're gonna like go through the buildings very quickly because number 1, I find them kind of boring, and number 2, they're boring. And then we'll do like we'll have a little. There'll be like a mini lesson on like what makes like paintings and statues Baroque, and students tend to really enjoy that. So let's get through these stupid churches and then move on. So Il Gesù. We are in Rome. That's where Rome is. Here it is. Yeah, so it's got these 2 dudes, one who made the plan and one who made the facade. And the facade is what you're looking at right here. Both these guys are named Giacomo. So that's easy, and I don't know, whatever, just memorize it. Don't really care about the dates, who cares? But yeah, Il Gesù. And in Italian, although I've always heard it pronounced Il Gesù, but that J, or not J, that G sometimes, and in this case, stands in place of a J. Because Italian, like Latin, doesn't really use J's. This church actually is, the name of it is like Jesus. except you use an article. So it's like the Jesus. Okay. So anyway, this is the Church of Jesus. Honestly, isn't it weird that more churches aren't called the Church of Jesus? Anyway. So here it is. You can see from the facade that this is very it has all the characteristics of Baroque church facades. And you're like, you haven't said what that is yet, Lathan. And I know. I should have looked. I can't remember if these slides come right now. I'm going to show you slides of like that relate all the different churches we've looked at to different kinds of cakes. And that will help. But for this, the keys, and I want you to like try and imagine, is that what's next? No, is it? No. Oh wait, actually I think it is. Okay, whatever. I think we're going to do the cake thing in a second. I don't want to give it away just yet. But some of the kind of key elements of Baroque church facades, and you'll see this on the other ones we look at, we love like random curly cues. Love it. Pilasters, engaged columns, but overall, in a sense, a bit of simplicity, right? This isn't like Gothic. We don't have like these towering towers. Oh God, these enormous towers. We don't have buttressing. We don't have all the like, I can't remember what sound I would make for Gothic, but all the like, you know how sometimes the Gothic ones look like those little drip sand castles. It doesn't have all that like extra frill. Like the most frill you have here are like the pilaster capitals and the engaged column capitals. But that's kind of it. Like there's kind of a smoothness to this. It's very clean, right? But it's not like, you know, say Romanesque with like teeny tiny windows. This doesn't have a ton of windows, I will grant you that, but there's something about the Romanesque that everything looks like the wrong proportions. And here these proportions look pretty good. So yeah, and as we look at our couple other, maybe we have like two other, oh yeah, we'll see two other Baroque churches. I think you'll kind of get the feel for this. We also have a picture of the interior. Now the interior is kind of like the opposite of the exterior. Here is where we just go ham on the decorations. And think back to like the interior of Gothic, the interior of the Romanesque, even the interior of like the, oh, what do they want to call it? The Byzantine stuff. I don't know. They call it like late antique Europe or whatever the fuck they call it. Where everything was like pretty simple, right? Maybe like mosaics were kind of like the frilliest you got. And then look at this. This is just so ornate. Most of this is like, has gold leaf on it. There's lots of like sculptures in here. They're plaster because you can see like they're way up high. So it would be hard to like throw some marble statues up there. They'd be heavy. All the like decorative marble, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so this contrasts very nicely to the sort of austere exterior. This is the ceiling of Il Gesù. This is what we'll look at the most in depth. It's a cool painting. Here's its layout. It's not required, but I thought I'd show you. We still kind of have this cruciform plan a little bit, but only if you think about the interior, like, because here's, okay, well, all the way up, here's the nave. And then you do have a little bit of a transept, but the building itself, right, the exterior of the building doesn't show that cruciform shape. Okay, so here's, I think this is where I do the cake thing. Oh, okay. Don't I have the pictures of the cakes? Yes, okay, fantastic. Santa Sabina. Okay, this is late antique. This is a cake you make at home. Here's a cake you might make at home. It's nice. I mean, this is actually like a pretty intense at home cake. It's got layers and shit. But like, look, this doesn't have any decoration on it. It's just vanilla and chocolate, but like it's a cake and it's good and it does what cake does. It wishes you happy birthday. I don't know what cake does. It's delicious. Fantastic. Simple. Simple and like maybe you didn't have the skills to make this more than it was gonna ever be. Fantastic. Romanesque. Sheet cake. Again, kind of simple, but you buy this shit at a store. You get this at, I was gonna say Myers, you guys don't, that's a Michigan thing. You get this at Ralph's. Oh my God, where are the other? Vons. I can't think of any other grocery stores. I can only think of Michigan grocery stores. Kroger, that's what Ralph's is here. Anyway, it's got that little bit of piping on the edge, right? This little but it's like pretty generic. It's fine. It serves its purpose. But again, it, you know, like you might really have to like pay extra to get any kind of decoration. And so maybe you're not going to do that. So it's just like, you know, this is more than you could do at home potentially. But it's not great. Gothic. This is a wedding cake. It's got, look at this beautiful one I found. If I ever got married, this is not what I would want, but I think it's great as a representation of Gothic architecture. Could I do this at home? No. My God, no. Could you get this at Vons? I don't think so. I don't know. Have I ever been in a Vons? No. So could you get this at Kroger? No. You would have to like go to a specialty place. Like someone has to be trained how to do this. I don't really know that someone needs to like super be trained to make a sheet cake, right? This has got frills. Look, it's got freaking flowers on it. Are those edible? I have no idea. That's not what we're worried about. It's got the drippies. It's got like all kinds of zhuzh going on. Okay, wedding cake. The Potsy Chapel Renaissance. This is, someone else came up with this last year and it was so perfect. I don't remember who. This is the technical challenge from the Great British Bake Off. Because remember, with the Renaissance, what we care about is like he threw all kinds of numbers in there, and like this arch is the perfect ratio to that arch, and the length is the perfect ratio to the width, and math. And that's the technical challenge of the Great British Bake Off, right? I don't know what this is. It's British, some kind of little cake, okay? But you know, Paul Hollywood's like, did you have the right ratio of this layer of what looks like chocolate to this layer of cream to this layer of sponge cake? Was your sponge cake spongy enough? Did you, you know, get the decorations in the right ratios, right? If you never watched Great British Bake Off, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Get on that. But that's Renaissance. Baroque. Baroque is Roman's cooking corner. If you've never seen that, I will post a video. I'll try to like, I don't know if I can add that to my YouTube. Probably not, but this is that kid, I don't know how old that kid must be now. But like someone sent me this YouTube video once, and it was this little kid, he's like 2, and he's helping his mom make a cake, and like he, you know, he's 2, so he can like barely talk, or at least like barely be understood, but he'll be like, flour, please. And then his mom hands him the flour and he like dumps it everywhere, and like half of it gets in the bowl. And anyway, he makes a cake, and then at the end, he's like, sprinkles. And she just gives him the whole bottle. And, you know, like if you or I were putting sprinkles on a cake, we might like sprinkle it on, and he just dumps it. And that's what kind of cake this is. You just, you're like, how much detail and decoration and zhuzh can I throw into the inside of this church? I shall dump a bottle of sprinkles on it. I mean, look, that's a lot of stuff in there. So that, the other way I like to think about Baroque churches is that they're like Liberace. If you don't know about Liberace, again, I don't know, should have grown up in the 80s and 90s. But this is Liberace. He was a piano player. And this was in the era where he was like, no, I'm not gay. And like, eventually he was like, yeah, have you seen me? Because like everything about him is super Baroque. Well, he always has a chandelier on his piano. The piano has this like, this is actually like Baroque decoration of the piano. I don't know what this is. Some kind of I have a lot of pictures in here of Liberace because every year kids are like, who is that? Here's some kind of promotional image of him in a bathtub, very Baroque, right? Very ornamental. Here he is with a Swarovski crystal studded piano with a chandelier and a bejeweled cape. And again, to remind you, he was like, I'm not gay. And here he is with Ralph because I love the Muppets. Okay, so because like this is because we also have interiors like this, like the most boring thing you've ever seen. Again, boring. The best thing we get here is some stained glass windows. Who cares? It's okay. Liberace. All right, so we're not really going to look at the outside of Il Gesù again because we don't care about it. But the interior, super crazy. So we've got, like I said, these plaster sculptures up here. You've got like some plaster little guys in this like entablature. And again, and you know, here on the interior, you can kind of just see, where's the other one right there? You've got these pilasters, and you've got like entablature here, right? You've got dentils and some garlands and, you know, essentially what is a frieze. And we don't see that in churches up until now. I mean, they are really, because if you think about it, you go to church, you walk up to the church, you see the outside of the church for like, I don't know, a couple minutes while you're walking up to it. But then you're in the church for like, sometimes mass is so long. And you know, they're doing it in Latin and like you don't know Latin probably. And so what do? You're probably like looking around and you're like, damn, beautiful. What we're really going to look at in here is this painting though. And what the artist has done. Don't I have his name somewhere? I can't remember his name. Who cares? You should care. You should probably know it. Did I have it on there? Who cares? Anyway, this is a wooden panel. Okay. Now you can see there's this shape, and I've always wondered. Maybe I'll try to remember to look it up today. Ooh, you know what? Let's insert a secret word. I need to write down the secret words. I'll write them down on this. I don't know, like, why do I need my own doctor's business card? I don't. I know where she is. Your first secret word for this week is banana. Secret word number 1, banana. A yellow fruit, stereotypically eaten by monkeys. Okay. So we're gonna look at this ceiling. Yeah, I wish this shape had a name. It's like an oval with a square intersecting it, a squoval. Trademark, squoval. That's what we're gonna call it because we're gonna see it a couple more times. So this squoval, very, very common in Baroque architecture, especially like in ceilings for I don't know what reason. But so there's a wooden panel inserted into the squoval, but and so for some reason this is always very hard for students to understand. The wooden panel extends beyond the squoval. Okay, it extends here. This is wooden panel, and then it extends here. Okay, now the ceiling of this church is a vault. And so this wood does have a slight bend to it. It's like this. Okay, it's not a flat piece of wood attached. It is slightly bent. That might even be too much of a bend for what it is. I don't know. And it is only maybe like an inch off of the ceiling. Now, this might be confusing because you might be thinking, well, I can see the shadow of it, Lathan. So obviously it's not just an inch, and here's the other shadow. Those are not shadows. The artist, whose name I can't remember, painted those areas darker so that it looks like shadows, so that the wood looks like, or, so that the clouds, the wood looks like it's not right on the ceiling, but it is. He just applied a bit of dark wash to make it look like shadow. Brilliant, beautiful, love it. So what are we seeing here? There's something at the middle, super crazy bright, right, emanating light. And then you've got all these happy people in the light, and then you've got this like dark area down here, right, where the light isn't really penetrating. And the usage of light in churches, we've talked about this before. So far we've only seen it with like stained glass windows, and using it like that. But and so this is our first sort of like painted look at art. Light? This is our first painted art. Oh my God. This is our first church use of painted light. There we go, that worked. And it's about the presence of God, and the light of God shining on those who, I don't know, deserve it or whatever. So at the center of this, do I get even closer? Yeah, is a cross, and then what looks like an I, an H, and an S. Okay, my brain stopped for a minute because my brain forgot how to spell Jesus. And I was like, wait a minute, it's a U. I thought Jesus was spelled J-U-S for a minute. And so I got confused, but it's fine. This is not an I, an H, and an S. It is an iota, an eta, and a sigma. Eta is one of the E's of the Greek alphabet. And so these are the first three letters of Jesus in Greek. Sorry, I thought Jesus was spelled J-U-S. Maybe I thought it was then E-S. I don't know. Juices. I'll just leave you with that. Secret word number 2. No, I'm kidding. You only have one so far, and it's banana. So Jesus, the light of Jesus, shining on all these little pooty, right? These little like naked babies with wings. So cute. These are terrible images, but not as bad as what it looked like when we had the Last Supper. So we're getting better. And then you have all these happy people in the light of God. Oh, so nice. But I mean, the coloring here, the usage of like these pretty bold colors, but where the light is, it's almost also like washed out. It's so bright. And then like, where it just sort of like naturally hits, everything is so saturated, really, really beautiful. But then you get to this dark area where you have like a lot of sort of twisted figural forms who don't look as happy as the people up above, because these are the people not in the light of God, right? I would love to see this church in person. I never have. Again, here is the added shadowing. I mean, just really amazing. Here again, fake shadow. Now, these are little coffers. So like all of this stuff that looks 3D is 3D. The ceiling does have texture to it. And so, again, I don't remember this guy's name, and I'm not going all the way back or whatever. He just took basically like a very watery black paint, more like a stain, and just kind of like dabbed it on there to make it look like a shadow. Here's another Squoval. Is this by the same guy? It must be. I don't know. Who's that guy though? Why didn't I put his name here? Anyway, let's move on. Oh, here's, why don't I have this guy's name here? What is wrong with me? Whatever, let's move on. Because I want to get to the, I'm already spending too much time on these stupid churches. It's already been half an hour. The fuck? Oh, we talked about cake for a little while. Okay. I can't believe this. Let's go fast through this one. This one's stupid anyway. Okay. We're still in Rome. This is San Carlo alle Quattro Fontane. That is kind of the nickname. That means the church of like Saint, Carlos by the four, it's not four fountains, but the Quattro Fontane, that is the fountain of the four rivers. It's actually a very famous fountain. It's in the Da Vinci Code. Actually, maybe it's in the other one. It's not in the, I don't, whatever. It's in one of those Dan Brown books. And well, I just hit my tooth. We'll actually talk about it when we look at Bernini because he did it. Anyway, Borromini. Borromini is pretty famous. So here's the facade. Again, pretty good for the sort of, well, Borromini kind of has his own style within, sorry, I'm just adjusting my table. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually went to school last Saturday and I stole the little table from the front of the classroom because I was having a hard time here at home and I don't want to sit at my dining room table. I want to sit on the couch. I also stole my printer, so I hope you guys weren't printing stuff because you can't anymore. Also, it's my printer. I didn't steal it. I took it back. It's not the school's printer. Hey, Julia, talk about this building. Cool. Borromini's thing is this like, woohoo, curvy front of a building. That's his deal. I'll show you some of his other stuff. He loves that shit. But it still has this very, why is the little dot? Okay. It still has this very typical Baroque facade of like just sort of the one color. I didn't talk about that with the other one. These engaged columns. This one's a little more ornate, but again, like it's, I think you can see that it is very clearly not, Gothic. We don't have a portal with a tympanum, right? It really is its own thing. And again, I think the more you see of these, the more you'll be like, yeah, I can, like, you just kind of have to see a couple. Okay, let's move on. Here's the inside. Now, this one is a little less Liberace, a little less Roman's Cooking Show, but it's still way more ornate. The other thing you have to think about is like the interior is freaking white. Okay, do you know why brides wear white? It is not because of purity or virginity. It's because Queen Victoria was like, I'm going to get married in a white wedding dress because nobody wore white back then because white gets freaking dirty. And so for her to wear a white dress was like, I will wear this dress on one day and one day only, and then I'll throw it away if it's dirty because I'm the queen and I'm that rich. And then people were like, we want to do that too. When I was little, I begged my mom to buy me a pair of white jean overall shorts. I saw them at Mervyn's. I don't think Mervyn's exists anymore. And I was like, I need these. I need these. And she was like, I'm not getting you those. You're going to ruin them. And I was like, I need them. I'll be careful. She's like, fine, I'll get them for you for your birthday. It was in like 2 months or something. And I was like, great. So she bought them. We took them home. She hid them. My birthday came around. I didn't get them. And she was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I forgot where I hid them. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then when my parents got divorced and we moved out of that house, and then later my mom and I moved back into our house, I was like, can you believe we moved and still didn't ever find those shorts? I was like 16 and I had wanted these shorts when I was like 7. And she was like, Julia, I returned those shorts the next day. I wasn't going to let you have white shorts. That's why I have trust problems. Not just kidding. So, all of this is to say that white is fucking fancy, you guys. I mean, you can actually see in some spots. Oh, I'm using the mouse. You can see in some spots, and I think you'll see when we do close-ups, that the lower parts of the wall do look a little bit dirty from just like people touching it. So gross. So white is a very like fancy, luxurious, decorative thing. And again, we can see these engaged columns. We can see, right? We can see these coffers, these little niches. I don't know. The layout of the church is weird. This is the church. Okay. Oh, it's windy outside. Oh, you can kind of see my curtain on my patio. It's banging against the wall. This is the church. This is the church's courtyard. Very weird. I think they were just kind of like dealing with the space they had. And then this is like storage room. I'm not even going to show you that. Oops. Like, what's it called? Like the Potsy Chapel. Math. This thing loves math. Okay. So you fit these like two same size circles in here. And then like those circles create these two like equilateral triangles with same size sides, equilateral triangles. And then you also, with those two circles, get this perfect oval. Math. Okay, math. We don't care what the math is. We just care that there's math, right? Okay, here's a cute little drawing. Great. Okay, here's a cute little, right? You can see the like, the wavy front. Here's what it looked like before they cleaned it. After they cleaned it. You know I love this shit. What? You look at that old car. No cars, but still love that. Here it is. Again, the big thing for Borromini, the wave. The wave, real nice. Okay, stop. Whoops, sorry. Here's the little courtyard. Pretty cute. Pretty cute, pretty nice. Okay, here's the inside. Yeah, it's pretty small. You can see, pretty small. But again, we've got all these like golden, I mean, those are like vents, you guys. The golden vents. My goodness. Look, oh yeah, look how dirty the wall is down here where people wiping their grubby little hands. Here's the altar. So again, this is about like decadence. That's kind of the thing with Baroque, especially architecture. It's all about the decadence of the era. The ceiling of this is pretty cool. It's kind of like a soccer ball. I almost said basketball. It's sort of like a soccer ball in that, you know how a soccer ball can't just have, I don't know, it has like both hexagons and octagons, or I don't know what, who cares? But it has like some octagons, some little like crosses, some little weirdo guys, but like it fills the whole space. And then at the center, oh, I thought I was going to have a closer up. You've got a little dove, right? Birds, doves, not just birds, like an ostrich. Doves. Doves represent the Holy Spirit. So isn't that nice? Real pretty, real ornate, right? Very ornate for the interior of a church. All right, here's another Borromini. It doesn't have as much of a wave, but it's still so if they ever give you a building with like a curve or a wave, it's Borromini. Okay, now let's do the fun stuff. I did that church a lot faster. I did that one in 8 minutes. Okay. First thing we have to do, and I don't like to do this like during Renaissance art, because I prefer to sort of look at this, like look back at Renaissance art as a comparison to Baroque art. If I just listed these things to you in Renaissance art, you'd be like, okay, because like we hadn't seen anything else. But I think it works well to sort of look back, excuse me, at Renaissance art. And oh, the bell is ringing. You know it's windy when the bell rings because that's a heavy bell. I think it works better to compare Renaissance art to Baroque art. So here are the characteristics of Renaissance art. You can pause this to write these down, but it's serenity, eternal stability, horizontals or verticals, calm nobility, reserved or like distant, sort of like idealized, uninterrupted contours, clear, even light, and a less guided focus. Okay, what does all that mean? Okay, I'm gonna pause this and go fix my balcony. Hang on. For fuck's sake. Okay, I fixed it. So that's Renaissance art. Now, here are the characteristics of Baroque art. You can pause to write these down, but let me show you. Here they are next to each other, okay? Essentially, everything that's on the Renaissance side, Baroque has the opposite, okay? So where Renaissance art has very like serene, you know, that sort of like, it's not just calm, it's like beautifully calm, whatever. Scenes, Baroque is going to have an emotional intensity. You're actually going to see emotions a lot more. Eternal. Essentially, oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Nope. Speaking of sneezing, I went for the first time in like a month to the grocery store because I've been ordering or my mom's been going. And I didn't know that the mask mandate had been lifted. And I saw someone sneeze in Trader Joe's. And I thought that the emotions that came into me, I will not be taking my mask off anytime soon. Anyway, it was disgusting. Eternal. Basically what that means, and I'm going to show you visual examples of this, but like essentially you can't tell when something's happening. Could be in the morning, could be at night, or not at night, could be in the morning, could be in the evening, could be at lunchtime, could be 10 years ago, could be tomorrow. Whereas Baroque, you're going to be like, oh, I know exactly what is going on. Like this is a snapshot. Stability, I gotta just show you stability and dynamism. Horizontals and verticals as opposed to diagonals. Again, I'll kind of have to show you. Calm nobility, energy, and movement. This kind of goes along with like eternal and moment in time. Reserved and distance, very involving. This is going to be a lot like we had with Hellenistic art. I've been thinking about art enough. With Hellenistic art, where it like draws the audience in and makes you interact with it. Idealized / not idealized, so very real. Uninterrupted contours and interrupted. I'm gonna have to show you that. Effects of light again, and then like less guided focus and like a guided focus. So let's look at some examples. Renaissance David. Okay, beautiful, fantastic, wonderful, great. Baroque David. Do I have them together? Thank God. Here they are on the same slide. Of course, now I can't see the list. I think I can pull it up here. Oh God, I wonder what you can see right now. I think you can still see the slide. Let's hope so, because I need to see the list. So this will work. Let's make this smaller and this smaller. There we go. That works for me. Serene versus emotional intensity. Renaissance David, he's just standing there. Like, tell me his emotion. Tell me what he's thinking. I barely even know that it's David, right? Like, okay, he's got his little sling and he is holding a rock in his hand, but like, I can't, it kind of looks like he's a Calvin Klein model and he's got like his jean jacket over. I always think Calvin Klein models would have a jean jacket over their shoulder. Child of the 90s. Whereas this David, I'll show you some close-ups in a second. He like his brow is furrowed. He's actually like biting his lower lip, right? Like he's like, we know he's like gonna fling the slinky. slingshot the rock, right? Great. Eternal or moment in time. This is a great example of eternal or moment in time. Baroque David, I mean, look, he's like on one bit of toes and like, 1 foot down, but we know he is in the middle of slinging this rock, right? One quick snapshot moment in time, as opposed to Bornholm Renaissance Day, just stand there. He could stand there actually for eternity. No, he would die. But like, he's just standing. That could take time. It could be any time. I know Baroque David is in the middle of slinging that rock. What's next? Stability or instability, dynamism. Renaissance David, yeah, he's stable. Again, this kind of goes along also with like moment in time, eternal. He could stand there forever. If you, and like, feel free, it would be really funny if like you guys did this at like different moments in class, if you were watching this in class. But like, if you actually like stand up and try to make David's pose, Renaissance David's pose, you could stand like that for a while. If you try to do Baroque David's pose, like you're leaning your weight, like, I mean, he's in the middle of a motion. For you to try to stand there like that would be a lot more difficult. Maybe you could hold that pose. Again, I'm not going to get up and do this. But like, I don't know how long your weight you could hold your weight like that comfortably with it shifted in that way. What's next? Horizontals, verticals, diagonals. Everything in Renaissance David, if we sort of like elongate his lines, everything is just like, right? He's very frontal. That wasn't a joke about his nudity. Like, do not argue with me that like his leg is at a diagonal. Okay. What we're talking about here is like the crisscrossing of this David, right? That he just himself is at more of a diagonal, right? And we can see crisscrossing lines within him. Calm nobility or energy and movement. Hopefully that is self-explanatory. Reserved, distant, involving, close. This, again, very much like Hellenistic art. In fact, I think I think even one of the FRQs I'm going to give you makes you talk about like the changes you see from classical to Hellenistic and then Renaissance to Baroque. It's a great one it's a great FRQ I wrote. But basically, sorry, which one were we doing? Oh, that like when you, again, just like with a classical statue, when I look at this David, like I get it. I basically see everything I need to see. This David, I'm going to show you close-ups in a minute, but like where's his other arm? What's his other arm doing? We would have to like engage and sort of like be drawn in and have to look at him to understand. Idealized, not idealized. Yeah. Remember, well, first of all, like, yeah, most people don't look like this. But remember, we also talked about like his hands are too big, right? That's not real, right? He all that. He is very much being idealized here. Whereas this David, right, like it's not an ideal, like if someone snapped you in this picture, you'd be like, I'm biting my lip and like I look all angry. Like this isn't, don't post that on your Insta. This is a very like real moment. He also is like maybe a little too jacked, but who cares? Uninterrupted contours, interrupted contours. This again, this kind of goes along with like the horizontals, verticals, diagonals, that like he just stands there. Whereas he is like, he's got lines crossing over. Again, we have to like walk around him to like, where's his other arm, right? He's like breaking his own contour. Effects of light. This will be clearer in some of the close-ups, and really this has to do more with paintings, and I'm going to show you painting examples also in a minute. Let me check the time. Okay, we're good. But like with one light, you would basically illuminate this David. But you can even in this statue, you can see some really interesting shadow work going on. Again, this is a little bit more for paintings, this use of light, but it works even with the statues. And then a less guided focus, direct focus. This again has to, or like goes along with like the reserved, distant, involving close. That like, and it's the same kind of thing as with the Hellenistic pieces that you have to like go in and sort of like your focus is going to be drawn to different areas, like what's in his hand, wait, where's his other arm, I need to like go look, and so your focus ends up being directed around. Whereas here it's just like, okay, I don't really care about any part of him, like nothing exciting is happening. So yeah, okay, so here's that David, here's his other arm, right? And you can see he's holding the slingshot. I think in these shots, you really can see the shadowing a lot better. Here's his face. Bernini. Okay, let's look at paintings. Caravaggio, Raphael. Let's put them together. We're going to do this a little quicker. Serene emotional intensity. So this is Saint Peter being crucified, and the story is when he was crucified, he was like, do not crucify me like Jesus. I'm not as good as Jesus. Crucify me upside down. And so they crucified him upside down. That's super weird. And like, just like, you're going to die anyway. Whatever. Sorry to judge you, Saint Peter. So they're crucifying him upside down. A nice little happy moment. They're looking at a finch and she's like reading a book. Great. He pretty emotionally intense. He's getting crucified. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry. Eternal moment in time. Yeah, right. They're like in the middle of lifting up his crucifix. I don't know when this is happening. This is gonna be happening anytime in the afternoon, evening, morning. Who cares? Eternal. Stability, we definitely have stability. Look, here's that Renaissance triangular pyramidal configuration. No stability here, right? Very dynamic, right? You can like imagine what has happened and what is going to be happening. Horizontal, yeah, horizontals and verticals. Ooh, lots of diagonals, lovely. Calm nobility, energy movement, we can see that. Again, reserved, distant. It's just kind of like, bleh. That's the thing about Renaissance art. It's actually pretty boring. Baroque art is where it's at. I think a lot of the time, just like with classical and Hellenistic art, the things that people think are classical actually end up being Hellenistic, and the things people think are Renaissance actually end up being Baroque. Idealized, yeah, that's pretty. Have you ever seen a child hold a bird? I think this is a pretty idealized version of that. I'm acting like I've seen a child hold a bird. I haven't, but I've seen a child hold a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What were we doing? Idealized, real. Yeah, this is a pretty, yeah, getting crucified, that's pretty real. Uninterrupted contours, interrupted. I mean, like, you know, his arm is even interrupting the contours of his leg. You can't even see this guy's face or this guy. I mean, like, yeah, lots of it. Clear, even light. Now, Caravaggio is kind of the master of use of light. That is what he's known for. You can't even really tell me where the light is. Like, where's the sun? Where are the shadows? Okay, there's a little shadowing here, a little bit here. But wait a minute, this side of her, wait, I don't know where the sun is. It might actually be in a couple of places, Raphael. Whereas here, again, I don't necessarily know where my source of light is, but you essentially lose the background. This is what Caravaggio is just like amazing at. You have these dark darks, punctuated by these intensely light areas. Beautiful. And then again, a less guided, I don't really know. And then your focus is moved all around here. Vermeer. Here's a Baroque painting. And if we again compare it, and this is bourgeois Baroque, and a lot of the time people will look at this and be like, well, I don't really see a difference between this and the Renaissance. It looks a little like, especially if you are thinking like, yeah, I can see a difference here, but you don't feel like there's so much of a difference here. There actually still is. Some of the things don't hold true. Like, I don't know that I would say that this woman has emotional intensity. Okay, that's fine. She does have a moment in time, right? She's either like, I can't tell if she's opening or closing this window, and she's about to pick up this picture. The dynamic, the instability, right? Like, again, that really goes with like moment in time, that like, this isn't super stable, as opposed to like just sitting there with your kids or with some kids. The diagonals, yes, we have far more diagonals in here. Energy, movement, again, in this situation, that goes along with like the moment in time aspect. Very real, right? Again, this is super idealized, but this is like, actually, I don't know. I don't think she could be a maid. I actually have no idea. She might be a maid. Like, either way, she's a real person, like getting a pitcher of water. Yeah. Well, involving close, you kind of want to, you're drawn in, you want to see the details of this beautiful, leaded glass window. Like, what's this map up here, the picture, what's this thing on the table? Interrupted contours, not a whole lot, but you do have some effects of light. This looks almost like it has the same lighting as the Renaissance one, but it does not. Vermeer is, so if Caravaggio is like the master of light in Southern Baroque, Vermeer is going to be the master of light in bourgeois Baroque. And we can see it really well with the light that's coming through this window and how it's disrupted in places and not disrupted in others. How the lighting goes through one side of her little hat thing, but not the other, how it lights her face so clearly. You'll see when we get to Vermeer, like he's, and then again, directed focus. Okay, whoops. Even landscapes. Okay, even landscapes. Here's a Baroque landscape, and then here's our, we didn't look at this specific one, but I like this one for a comparison. We can even see the difference in the landscapes, right? Obviously, we're probably not going to have like emotional intensity. And in fact, in Baroque landscapes, we oftentimes lose things like people. But like you can, still see like moment in time. One way that the Baroque does this with landscapes really well has to also do with the effects of light, that like it's a moment in time of this like stormy scene, with like, not stormy, but like cloudy scene, but it's not full clouds, so some light is getting through, and then you can even see like the patches of light down here, right? There is more energy to it, but also look at things like the use of space, that here, like only this little bit is the sky. That's like generously a quarter, it's not even a full quarter of the painting is the sky, whereas here more than half is the sky. And again, we even are seeing the light with the clouds. I'm not really going through the list anymore, I kind of dropped it, but I think we can see the difference even in landscape art. Okay, I think this is where we're going to start. Yeah, it's been an hour. Roughly. So, and this is a longer piece. You only had one secret word this time. I'm not going to say it again. You have to have watched where the secret word came up, but there was only one. And you'll get a secret word in the next lecture. So, which I don't know, I might do in like half an hour, or I might not. We'll see. Anyway, I'll post this soon. Okay. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.